Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another breakfast with Blaha. And today I'm having Greek yogurt, almond butter, frozen blueberries. All right, let's talk about wearing a belt. I've had to make this video a few times because I used to be an advocate of training without a belt. Okay, I've apologized for that and said, I love the philosophy and I thought it was reasonable for the years that I did it. Keeping in mind I did a lot of belted training early on my channel, then I went through a phase of saying, hey, phases with no belt. And then eventually I kind of joked around that it was manly to train without a belt. But there's a difference between saying, hey, I think something is cool and manly, and then coming over and saying, is it a good idea? And I am generally an advocate of belts, to the point where you guys see me wear a belt on the bench press, like the majority of the best benchers in the world do, wear a belt on curls. Well, people start to ask why. All right, first of all, there's no advantage to taking the belt off. Okay, that's a big important one that people need to understand. A lot of guys will say, yeah, but it's going to leave your core weak. There's two problems with that. We get number one, basic biomechanics. Get basic biomechanics. When your core is stabilizing, it's not a particularly good ab exercise. And here's what all the really good coaches I know will tell you, because you'll see all these stupid articles that will say, oh, well, planks are better than crunches. Planks are inferior to crunches for your abs. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Planks cannot equal a dynamic movement for developing a muscle. Is there any other muscle in the body that you train that way? Anyone out there saying you can maximally develop your biceps by just holding a dumbbell at peak contraction and then letting go and not even letting it come down? Do you know anyone with 19-inch biceps who trains that way? You don't, do you? Why? Because they'd be an idiot and it wouldn't work. Why are you trying to do it with your abdominals? Why are you doing it with your abdominals? Especially, what makes you think that you're going to develop the strongest abs possible doing squats and deadlifts? The biomechanics doesn't support it. The EMG data doesn't support it. Okay. All the best squatters and deadlifters in the world train their abs directly. If you're relying upon your standing movements to build your abs, you are not going to have strong abs. Period. It's a foolish endeavor. I do an average of 15, maybe sometimes more sets directly for my abs every week. You guys saw me do that hanging leg raise video with my boots on. That's how I train mine. If you're relying on these movements, you're going to have weak abs. So it's already a bad philosophy. Well, I'm taking the belt off so that my abs will get stronger doing these movements. Your abs aren't going to get strong doing these movements. I mean, a little bit, but they're going to be a hell of a lot stronger if you actually train them dynamically, not just as stabilizers. And that's the other thing. A bigger, stronger muscle is better at isometrics. In other words, if you spend a bunch of time doubling the size and strength of your bicep, you're also going to be able to hold a heavier dumbbell statically. It will carry over. So if you build bigger, stronger abs and you have to brace your abs just isometrically, they're going to be more effective because you're going to have bigger, stronger muscles to do the job. Number two, all the EMG data shows that when you wear a belt, your abs and your core get more activity than when you don't wear a belt when you do those exercises. So now we've got a double lose. Number one, you shouldn't even be using those movements to build your core. All right, that's already stupid, ineffective. Number two, even if you were going to hope to contribute, you get more activation with the belt on. So let's come over. Why do we wear a belt? We're not wearing it to develop our abs. We should be training our abs anyways, right? We're wearing the belt to get high neuromuscular efficiency. It's not to protect your back. People say, why are you wearing it on the bench press? So that I can brace my abs, my abdominal wall against the belt. It raises intra-abdominal pressure. It creates an irradiation effect. That means that we will get upper threshold muscle fibers easier on every rep. Okay? Now, if you're trying to lift the most weight possible, recruiting muscle fibers at a faster rate is useful. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. Hopefully no one disagrees with that point. And this applies to anything that makes you get tighter, including squeezing the bar harder. It all locks you in tighter, gives you better form, better neuromuscular efficiency. I'm up for hypertrophy. Okay. I don't think this one's going to be anything people disagree with either. Recruiting more muscle fibers when you're curling, you recruit more muscle fibers in your biceps, aren't you creating a higher potential for muscle growth? Isn't that the whole point, right? Why do we take sets close to failure? Why do you take a set to failure? Why do you do more than one set? Because you're trying to recruit more muscle fibers. You're trying to make sure that you recruit and fatigue as many muscle fibers as possible, right? Because for a muscle fiber to grow, it has to not only be recruited, it has to be recruited enough to reach fatigue. And again, that includes the different intermediate fibers, the upper threshold fibers, all of them. Because they all have some hypertrophic potential. Some have more than others. Any tool that lets you recruit more muscle fibers is a potentially, not guaranteed to be, it has the potential to be a valuable tool for gaining muscle. Does wearing a belt do that? Objectively speaking, based upon the data that we have, does wearing a belt do that? Yeah. Also, squeezing a bar harder does that. In other words, anything that gets you tighter and locked in better to where you're not loose has the potential to help you recruit more muscle fibers sooner in a set. And if we're recruiting more muscle fibers, right, and this isn't guaranteed that this is what's going to happen, but not everything we do is guaranteed. We're usually doing multiple things, hoping to get a positive effect. It's just one more tool that we would use to hopefully recruit and fatigue more muscle fibers so that we get better training results. It makes sense to wear the belt. You already have it. You should have one. Wear it on any lift to where you can comfortably wear it. It makes sense. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.